Thank you, Erin. And with our changing weather in southern Arizona, something else is fluctuating. Risk for valley fever. It's a regional disease caused by a fungus that's endemic right here where we live. This danger in the dust is not spread person to person, but the symptoms are eerily close to, you guessed it, COVID-19. The breeze that fans our desert plants, the sand and soil that sprouts them, its desert harmony draws us to southern Arizona. But to truly enjoy our corner of the world is to understand its risks. If you've lived in our beautiful part of the desert for a while, chances are you've been exposed to valley fever. After all, it's the spores that live in our dirt and dust that cause it. So how do you know what's making you sick?
As I always tell my patients, you can't live in a bubble. We live here. So, the really important thing is look for the symptoms. And if it happens, just ask for help.
Dr. Fariba Donovan with the Valley Fever Center for Excellence in Tucson says it's more crucial now than ever for people with symptoms to get tested for valley fever because the symptoms are so similar to COVID-19. In fact, a third of all pneumonia cases in valley fever endemic areas are due to valley fever.
And if you look at the symptoms, cough, chest pain, fever, dyspnea, headaches, joint pain, all of these are the same symptoms that you have or anybody says they have in COVID.
In fact, she has patients who got multiple negative tests for COVID before finally getting a valley fever test that was positive. When COVID took center stage, valley fever testing dropped. That, along with a very dry 2020, are reasons Dr. Donovan expects cases to double this year. What she asks is that patients and doctors alike consider the possibility of valley fever.
Because of the overlap, because of course, the pandemic, everybody thought about COVID, but it doesn't mean that valley fever goes away.
No one knows that better than Jeff Weinbrenner, a young husband and dad of two, changed forever by those fungal spores in the dust.
I got sick from dust. Essentially, what is dust? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't go around and, have unprotected sex. I didn't do anything wrong. I breathed air, and that got me really sick.
60% of those infected with valley fever never even know they have it. Many who do get sick don't even need medication. But for a rare few, like Jeff, it can be devastating. A lifelong fight costing an estimated $1 million.
I ended up with what they call disseminated cocci meningitis, which is essentially valley fever that's moved from your lungs to another part of your body. And mine just happened to be my brain and my spinal fluid. So that made things interesting.
Jeff had just moved here for a teaching job and thinks he picked it up picking out a pumpkin.
You don't have to try very hard to get it. So when the wind blows, that dust travels and you breathe it, and yikes, one more crazy thing to worry about.
He's been sick on and off ever since, making steady work impossible, but is excited to be part of a clinical trial starting soon. He says could be a game changer because Jeff is always one to hope.
So I guess that's going to be my mission in life, is to be a good stay-at-home dad until we can get this cured and I can get back in there and start swinging again. Good job.
So cute. Later this week, we will talk to a congressman about what's happening in Washington to tackle the valley fever problem here in Arizona and why it is a national concern. For comprehensive information on valley fever, check out our new podcast, Danger in the Dust. It's available now in the Apple Podcasts app, iTunes Store, or Google Podcasts app. Just search for KOLD News 13 and click Danger in the Dust. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get updates when new episodes go live.